آبائي الطاهرين ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم بلغني بهديك الحسنة صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل.
Brothers, can you please settle down? Brothers at the back, please kindly requested to settle down. Thank you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بر محمد و آل محمد بلندتر صلوات. ایک اور صلوات پڑھ دیجیے محمد و آل محمد. مولا ظہور کیجئے ہر دل کی ہے صدا. مولا ظہور کیجئے ہر دل کی ہے صدا. ارماں ہے ساتھ آپ کے ہم جائیں کربلا. یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان، مل کے پڑھیں. یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان. منظر ہے کربلا کا نگاہوں میں آپ کی، ہو آپ نوحہ خوان وہاں ہم ہو ماتمی. ہے آپ کو حسین کی غربت کا واسطہ، ارماں ہے ساتھ آپ کے ہم جائیں کربلا، یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان، فرش عزا پہ بیٹھ کے سننا ہے آپ سے، کیسے حسین زین سے آئے زمین پہ، موجود ہے مقام وہی ابھی آپ کا، ارماں ہے ساتھ آپ کے ہم جائیں کربلا، یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان، اکبر سے نوجوان کھائی جہاں سے نہ کھایا تھا تیر اصغر بے شیر نے جہاں، ہے آرزو کے دیکھ لے ہم جا کے وہ جگہ، ارماں ہے ساتھ آپ کے ہم جائیں کربلا، یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان، اے مولا ابھی جائے آتا نہیں ہے چین، یاد آ رہا ہے ہم کو بہت روضہ حسین، ذیشان اور کریم یہ کرتے ہیں التجا، ارماں ہے ساتھ آپ کے ہم جائیں کربلا، یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان، بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔ اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے، اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، اس عالم غربت میں تمہیں جانے دوں کیسے، اس دشت قیامت میں تمہیں جانے دوں کیسے، اس وقت مصیبت میں تمہیں جانے دوں کیسے، اے لال جو تم اذن وغا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، کیا گزرے گی اس باپ کے دل پر نہیں سوچا، ارے تم نے یہ میری جان علی اکبر نہیں سوچا، مر جاؤں گا میں سے بچھڑ کر نہیں سوچا، تم مجھ سے ضعیفی کا عصا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، دل روتا ہے نظروں سے اگر دور ہو بیٹا، کس طرح جدائی تیری منظور ہو بیٹا، تم ہی میری آنکھیں ہو میرا نور ہو بیٹا، مجھ سے میری آنکھوں کی ضیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، ایک روز تجھے آن کے مانگا تھا پھوپھی نے، 18 برس نازوں سے پالا تھا پھوپھی نے، بیٹوں سے بھی زیادہ تمہیں چاہا تھا پھوپھی نے، احسان جو زینب نے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، سر تیرا بھی جس وقت چڑھے گا سر نیزا، ہوگا سر میدان جدا سر بھی تمہارا، ہم شکل پیغمبر کا گلا کاٹیں گے آدھا، گویا میرے نانا کا گلا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، بابا مجھے معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہا ہوں، ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں، ارے بابا مجھے اماں نے بھی کچھ درس دیا ہے، آداب وفا سے مجھے آگاہ کیا ہے، پہلے میں مروں آپ سے وعدہ یہ لیا ہے، بس اس لیے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں، ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہا ہوں، اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو، بر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight's Majlis is sponsored by Iram and Haider, Shakir and Shail Zasharia, Riaz Jan Muhammad, Nazneen and Mustafa Rajani, Munawar and Mumtaz Karmali, Bilal Sheikh, Rizwan Walji, Shahida Bhai Hassan Ali, Azra Khan, the Merchant family, and Bande Khuda. Can we please recite Surah Fatiha for marhumins of their families? The names displayed on the screen and all marhumins. Surah Al-Mubarakatul Fatiha. I kindly request everyone to pay attention to the following announcements. Earlier today, a message from our Vice President, Dr. Brother Mohsin Asharia, was communicated regarding updates to our COVID strategy. Please note the following key points from the message. We have been informed that someone who had tested positive for COVID-19 had attended one of our programs. They acted responsibly and let us know immediately. As a consequence of this, we will be taking further measures effective today to mitigate the risks. Anyone who arrives at the center without pre-registration will be politely refused entry. We request that anyone attending our programs kindly does a lateral test. These tests are available at all pharmacies and NHS key points. We will have marshals stationed around both the ladies and gents hall. They will strictly enforce the mask policy. The mask policy, just for a reminder, is your mask should cover both your mouth and nose. Please do cooperate with them. We have a duty of care to all community members who attend our programs. These duties are taken very seriously by the MC. Thank you. May I kindly invite Sheikh Nuru to the member with a loud Nare Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله غير المغضوب عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. صلى الله عليك يا مولانا يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. صلى الله عليك يا ابن فاطمة المظلومة. ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the love of Abba Abdullah, with the loudest of our voices, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. For the purification of our hearts and the hastening of the reappearance of our beloved 12th Imam, with the loudest of our voices, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Once again, we thank Almighty Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala for gracing us with this wonderful moment and wonderful opportunity in this holy month of Muharram. My dear brothers and sisters, mu'mineen and mu'minat, before we commence with the Majalis of tonight, as we've just heard from Brother Muhib, it is important we all try as much as we can to protect ourselves and to protect people around us. No doubt, Allah is in charge, but Allah provided us with tools to decide on what we want in our lives. When we decide in the right way, Allah support us and assist us. And if we decide the wrong way, then we should be ready for the repercussion of our decisions. This virus, as we all know, is deadly, and it is a reality. We've seen people dying in our communities like flies last year. And so what we need to do is to protect ourselves. Yes, it's the Majalis of Ahlul Bayt, and their blessings are in those Majalis, but they will also expect us to protect ourselves by ensuring that we uphold the simple measures that we are asked to uphold. So please, mu'minin and mu'minat, let us try our level best. We've been doing very well, and let us continue with that. And Ahlul Bayt will be happy with us, and they will intervene on our behalf. When you wear the face mask, you're protecting the person next to you. So if he wears and you are not wearing, he is protecting you and you are not protecting him. Those who have lost their loved ones in their families out of COVID, they know what COVID is all about. I buried so many people in my community last year. Normally, the community, Birmingham, in a year would lose like 3-4 people. Last year, we lost 19 people. 19. And one of the causes of it is Majalis. Meaning people attended Majalis without upholding the measures. So let us, inshallah, try our level best. Health is amanat. It's Allah's trust in our hands. The way you'll be questioned about salat, wallahi, you'll be questioned about your health. And our lives evolves around our health. Even the worship we do, if we are not in a good health, we will not enjoy the worship of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Inshallah, let us all try to protect one another, and Allah will bless us and He will protect us. Just wear your face mask, inshallah, unless if you are medically exempted. That, of course, we do not have choice but to allow you to be in. With the loudest of our voices, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The verse I've just quoted is Quran 48, verse 4. And as I said on one night, my dear brothers and sisters, every single verse I share with you, try to double check those verses. If not here, when you go back home. Because at the end of the day, our guides are Quran and Ahlul Bayt. And when you come to a Majalis of Ahlul Bayt, you should not go away empty handed. You have to go away with something. Learn at least one thing, if you cannot take a lot. And by taking something out of the Majalis, your Majalis is regarded as meaningful and effective. It's Quran 48, verse number 4. وَالَّذِي أَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لِيَزْدَادُوا إِيمَانًا مَعَ إِيمَانِهِمْ. He is the one who sent down tranquility to the hearts of the believers to increase them in their faith or in their iman. Now, departing from this beautiful verse, our topic of tonight is tranquility and worries during challenges. And the examination is of the following stages. The first stage, we will discuss the importance of tranquility and the manifestations of tranquility within the life of an individual. Meaning, when you spot those manifestations in your life, then you should consider yourself as a tranquil personality, as a peaceful personality in the sight of Almighty Allah Ta'ala. Second stage of our examination, we will look at causes of frustrations in our lives and what we need to do practically to bring about tranquility in our lives. And the last stage of the examination, we'll then discuss how to mitigate worries, frustrations in advance before we are faced with. We human beings, one way or the other, we go through frustrations in our lives. One way or the other, we go through worries in our lives. Young or old, youth or not youth, worries are properties of life. And worries are ways to perfection. And worries are ways to self-development. So it is important we understand ways and means of handling worries and frustrations from the side of Quran and Ahlul Bayt, and also from the medical perspective. Because as Muslims, as lovers and followers of Ahlul Bayt, we believe these two go hand in hand. One cannot say Allah will help and do nothing about it. And at the same time, as a Muslim, you cannot say, I visit my doctor, I visit my GP, I have these medications, and I'm not going to seek divine intervention. Both go hand in hand. Now, first stage of our examination is the importance of tranquility in our lives. We all require tranquility, my dear brothers and sisters. When there is tranquility, you may have nothing in your life, but rest assured you will live in peace. Let's all go to Quran and kindly pay attention. You see, when you go to Quran, you will come across numerous verses where Allah discusses the lives of believers. There is a particular verse where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala highlights on two major states of a believer. Which verse? Quran 8, verse number 2. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. 8, verse number 2. Highlight on two major states of a believer. Are you a believer? Am I a believer? Here are the two major states of a believer. If you claim as a believer, then you must be in these two states. Otherwise, you need to work extra hard. It's easy to say mu'mineen and mu'minat. But to get to that level, you need work and determination. The first state of a believer is a halatul wajl. What is wajl? Wajl simply means khawf. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Allah said, believers are those when Allah is being mentioned, they find fear in their heart. Now let's stop here. First state of a believer is fear. What does fear mean here? A believer is someone who is afraid of committing a sin. وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. It's a quality of a believer. Believer is afraid, is got this fear of indulging into any sin. Because believer understood sin, and sin became disgusting to a believer. Question, excuse this question. Why don't we drink alcohol? Because it is disgusting to us. Sin is like that. When a believer works harder in the way of Allah, sin becomes disgusting to him. Be it very tiny sin or big one. It's a state of a believer. If sins are not disgusting to us, then we have miles to climb when it comes to being a believer. Hence, in Dua Kumail, very simple. How many lines we ask Allah to forgive us? Allahumma kfir li adh-dhunub allati tahbis ad-du'a. Allah, I ask you to forgive me the son or the sons that do what? Hold our supplication. Allahumma kfir li adh-dhunub allati tunzilu an-niqab, isn't it? Allah, forgive me those sins that bring adhab and fitna. And so a believer on a first level, he is really careful when it comes to committing a sin. That's the first stage. Second stage of a believer is a halatul itmi'nan. It's a state of tranquility. A believer is a tranquil personality. What is tranquility? There are two meanings of tranquility. The first meaning is philosophical and usuli meaning. And the second meaning is mystical and spiritual meaning. Kindly lend me your hearers. Itmi'nan, we all hear itmi'nan, tranquility. From the philosophical perspective, tranquility is a level of understanding and absorption. Some people, it takes them 1 week to understand one thing. You'll say something here, it will take somebody 1 week to understand. There are people there and there, as you mentioned, they pick it up. So tranquility, from the philosophical perspective, is martaba min maratib al-idrak. It's one of the stages of understanding things. When you pass 70%, or when you get 70 above in terms of your understanding, then you have obtained tranquility in your understanding. But tranquility in this verse is not philosophical. It's mystical. It's spiritual. What is the meaning of tranquility mystically? It is istiqrarun nafs. It's the settlement of the heart and the settlement of the soul. Is your soul settled? Is my soul settled? Is your heart settled? Is my heart settled? When our hearts are settled, then we are called the mutma'innun, those who have obtained tranquil soul. Now, when we say one of the state of a believer is a state of tranquility, it simply means a believer believes that Allah will do nothing for him except khair. A believer is someone who understands that good or bad days in his or her life are khair. That is what itmi'nan is all about. Quran makes it very clear. Look at the Quran. وَأَسْبَغَ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعَمَهُ ظَاهِرَةً وَبَاطِنًا. That Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala showers His blessings on you, the hidden blessings and the secret ones. Scholars, when they examine this verse, they say some of the blessings are pains in our life, but in the long run, they are blessings to us. So, halatul itmi'nan, that state of tranquility which believer has, is that it doesn't matter which season, which situation, which condition, all are blessings from Allah. And Quran makes it very clear. كُلًّا يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Yani whatever befalls us is written by Allah. That's halatul itmi'nan. Now look at the next line. There are manifestations of tranquility. You know, wallah, I'm sitting here on this member. Our biggest headache is that Allah has not settled in our house properly. We are doing well. Business, lecture, everything is okay. The only problem is Allah is not still there properly. And that is what I'm aiming at in all these majalis. Let's rethink and review our relationship with Allah. And let's work extra harder to bring Allah to our lives and to make Allah our neighbor. What does it mean to say Allah is your neighbor? Meaning you feel the presence of Allah. You have that spark in your heart. Sometimes wallah, one stand to pray salat and there's no spark. Let alone outside salat. Mystics mention there is one thing which is everywhere, but little is found about it. Allah is everywhere, but little is found about Allah. He's everywhere. But why is little found about him? Because he is not priority in our lives. Allah says in Hadith al-Qudsi, oh the son of Adam, I love you with my whole existence. Why when I come to you, you run away from me? I'm coming to you. You are running away. You only coming to me for your convenience. Itmi'nan has manifestation. Let's reflect on these manifestations. That's what we need in life. When you have him in your heart, you are sorted. The first manifestation of tranquility is what? Inshirahu sadr. Having a big heart. Big heart here doesn't mean giving money. No. No. It means something else. Chapter Zumar, verse 23, discusses it. أَفَمَنْ شَرَحَ اللَّهُ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَهُوَ عَلَى نُورٍ مِّن رَبِّهِ. What is inshirahu sadr? When one's heart become receptive to the worship of Allah. When the Quran is being recited, do you find it boring? Judge it yourself. Dua Kumail, is it boring? You know, I know. When you watch a movie, is it boring? No, somebody, no, because we have a span. I said, I agree, yes, true. 45 minutes, I agree, 100% I agree with you. But when you recite Quran or you listen to Quran 30 minutes, do you feel the same way when you watch a movie of 40 minutes? Make God priority, and God will come to your life in full. God is not only about Qiyamah. It has to start here. It's not only about Jannah and Nar. Wallahi. And this is not like a big thing, mysticism. No. If God is only for Qiyamah, then there's no point. God has to be in our lives in this dunya. So the first manifestation of tranquility is what? My heart is receptive to the worship and the calling of Allah. So if your heart is receptive to the worship of Allah, then you are a tranquil soul. When it's salat time, do you find it boring? If music is not boring and Quran is boring, then there's something wrong. Yes. Yes, I know we are challenged, music, youth, I agree. But if that is not boring, and Nahjul Balaga is boring, then there is something wrong. Think about it. So the first manifestation of tranquility is what? Your heart is receptive. Let's look at second manifestation. Al-Hudu. What is Hudu? A tranquil personality is at peace. At peace. No issue in mind. At peace. And the verse I quoted earlier on, 48:4. أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم. He is the one who sent tranquility to the heart of the believers. And even when they went to, pay allegiance to the Holy Prophet under the tree, Bay'atu Shajara, Allah mentioned, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ. Allah trusted and believed and accepted and is pleased with the believers when they paid allegiance to you. But at the end of the ayah said, وَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah sent tranquility. This doesn't come cheap. We need to work for it. Wallah, it doesn't come cheap. The way you work for your job, you have to work to Allah. Imam Ali said, prepare for loneliness when you take Allah's way. Prepare for loneliness when you take Allah's way. You want to wake up for namaz sharp, not everybody will do it. You want to recite Quran every day, not everybody will do it. You want to be particular about your soul, not everybody will do it. Sometimes people even laugh at you. I look at the mullahs, they are too much. And then the last manifestation of tranquility is what? Athabat. A true believer is steadfast. Steadfastness. When you become steadfast, you are a tranquil soul. يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. Those who believe in Allah, Allah makes them steadfast. So when you realize that you are steadfast, you are unshakable when it comes to your iman. No, it's too challenging. We living in the UK, we living in America. Baba, this is the right place to even become the right servant of Allah. Because you are exposed to different conditions. Places where they are exposed to only one condition is very difficult. So Sabat, steadfastness, is a manifestation of a tranquil personality. Now let's go to the second stage of the examination. Causes of worries and frustrations, and how to mitigate those worries and frustrations. You see, in life, we all require tranquility, as I mentioned earlier. Everybody, nobody wants stress. There is no insan who wants stress. Everybody wants tranquility. But that's impossible. Because one of the main features of this world is what? Is world of trials and tribulations. So let's look at examples of frustrations and worries. And how, if we do not take care of them, can turn into something else. Typical example, sickness. Today, this family member is sick. This one is in hospital. That one is dying. Amman yujibul mutarra iza da'a. A friend is sick. It's worrying. Second example, my daughter is not getting married. Proposals are getting turned down. My son is not getting married. She is aging, is aging. Worry. Parents are worried. they become frustrated. No, wealth, money. One is losing a lot of money in his business. No income at all because of COVID or because of other situations. Worry. No, a parent having sleepless night because of the behavior of their sons and daughters. So many worries, so many frustrations in life. And as we mentioned the other night, you come to the community, this one like you, this one doesn't like you. This world is the world of trials and tribulations. What is dangerous, my dear brothers and sisters, is that when you start becoming worrying and you start becoming frustrated and you don't go out and seek help, it will turn into something which you will not like. How can worries turn into something? It can turn into one thing, and that one thing will lead to the other, and the other one will lead to the other. Say one has these worries in his life, and is not trying to seek help, either from God or from the expert. You know what happens? It leads to doctigism, physical pressure. What is physical pressure? One cannot sleep. How many of us have worries and they can't sleep at night? Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. Night is a time to sleep. How many cannot sleep at night? Do you think it's healthy? It's not. Allah said, جَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا جَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. Night is for the body to rest and for you to stand there and chant the praises of Allah. Hence the Holy Prophet mentioned, whoever is unable to wake up at night to call on Allah, you should check your soul. You need spiritual doctor. Let alone Fajr. So when there are worries, we all have worries, including the speaker. Work not going well. My daughter this. We've been married for how many years? We are not getting children. We don't know what is happening. Worry upon worry. This one offend you today. That one offend me tomorrow. This one gives me a look today. I've lost my job. I've been expelled. Worries and frustrations are properties of this world. What is important is how we go about mitigating. So if you do not stand up and seek to mitigate, it leads to physical pressure. And the consequence of physical pressure is what? You can't sleep. And when that is not taken care of, it leads to what? Intellectual pressure. What is intellectual pressure? You can't focus. How many people cannot focus? So the Sheikh, wallah, I can't retain information. I start this, I start that. This worries, frustrations. Allah created this system for us to be able to achieve whatever we said. And if the intellectual worries and pressure is not taken care of, you know what it leads to? The worst one. Dr. Nafsi. Psychological pressure. And what is psychological pressure? What is psychological pressure? I'm confused in your life. Feel like something is itchy. You know where I'm trying to go. What I'm trying to say is that, please, my dear brothers and sisters, mental health is a reality. Wallahi, it's a big reality. Small kalak worry, if you don't jump in seeking help, it will frustrate your lives. No, he's got a jinn. No, there is nothing like that. No, it's natural. Yes, those things are there sometimes. But the first point of call is to go for physical and medical examination properly. Worries are there. Our communities are not immune from this. No, I'm not crazy. There is nothing like that being crazy. Mental health is like physical health. No, I'm not worshiping Allah properly. There is nothing like that. That because I'm not worshiping Allah, so I have a mental health. No. What Islam says is that when you are faced with this, seek help through God and through experts. We've lost life in our community, isn't it? Out of mental health. Now people have a big mouth to say, why did he do that? You can't blame him. Don't blame him. Somebody took his life because of mental health. Our youth are going through a lot when it comes to mental health. Some of our elders are struggling with dementia. This is serious. Let's take care of ourselves. The moment you start getting worried and you can't focus and you can't sleep at night and things are not right, seek help. Now let's look at Islam and what Islam says. Islam says there are two major ways of going through this: temporary way and permanent way. During the lockdown, how many of our sons and daughters were struggling with stress? Because there was no socialization, isn't it? Young children, school, wallah, it's a reality, but it's not the end of the world. Go out and seek help. Don't blame jinn always, and don't blame Najir always. Go out there, seek for help. Psychotic disorder is there, and people mix it with something else. Bipolar is there. People go inside washroom, excuse my word, they will make wudu. How many times? Some will spend 1 hour inside washrooms. It's a reality. So they are responsible, and we are also responsible in helping them. What's the first temporary solution from the Islamic perspective? Al-istirkha. It's a beautiful word. Istirkha simply means what? Switch activity. What do I mean? You realize that you're worried, you're frustrated. Why this thing is not coming right? This is too much. You're toasting on bed at night, you can't sleep. Turning around, you can't sleep. Istirkha. The moment you see that, first aid, switch activity. Take a walk. Where do we get this from? From the tradition of the Holy Prophet Ali Akbar. From the tradition of Ali Akbar. What does Ali Akbar say? Ali Akbar says, this heart we have, it is of good mood and bad. لِلْقُلُوبِ إِقْبَالٌ وَإِدْبَارٌ. For the good mood, for the bad. So when you are not in good mood, don't try to do things, I'm just paraphrasing, to suppress it. But the second one is the interesting riwayah. روِّ قُلُوبَكُمْ سَاعَةً بَعْدَ سَاعَةً فَإِنَّ الْقُلُوبَ تَمِلُّ كَمَا تَمِلُّ الْأَبْدَانِ. Al-Bayt says, refresh your souls hour after an hour, because souls get tired the way bodies get tired. So unless you're worried, you're frustrated, find a way. I always tell my fathers, my mothers, senior citizens, aim to age gracefully. Age gracefully. Otherwise, 50 years, you will be sitting on a chair for Salah. Today we see people are not taking care of their health. So the first aid is what? Switch. Take a walk. Read an interesting storybook. Take a weekend journey with your family. Go somewhere. Change environment, but this is just first aid. The second first aid is what? Confide with someone you trust. Prophet said, Sadiquka man asdaqaka. He said, your friend is the one who is there for you when there is a problem. And he believes in what you are telling him. Confide. Here, some scholars said, you can confide with your GP, with your psychologist. You know, we Maulanas, we also go through these worries. And I'm telling you out of experience. Sometimes you get worried when communities issues are a lot. So you need to have a way of dealing with it. So the second first aid is what? Consult, talk to someone. We are human beings made out of feelings and emotions. So sometimes you have to be down, 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 down. Sometimes you have to be on top of our games. So it's important you consult, call your GP, talk to him. There are people you tell them, go talk to psychologists, talk to your GP. No, I'm okay. And still the person is not okay. Seek help. The moment you realize you've got this issue. Now, when it comes to the long-term solution, the first in Islam says, taqwiyatul irada. Is to build your resilience and willpower. What is willpower? Willpower is simply when the self exercises its authority over the body. That's willpower. This body is just a servant. Self is the chief component. So when you talk of iradat, will, resilience, is when the self exercises authority over the body. Allah, Islam is beautiful. Read, my dear brother. It's too good. It's too good. If we will all understand Islam, there will be no war in the world. But how do we build our willpower? We need to be aware of factors when we are engaged in will destroy our willpower. I'll mention a few of them, then we can continue. The first one is what? Being negative always. Being negative always destroys one's willpower. And surrounding yourself with negative people. You know, there are people, whatever you suggest, they will tell you it's not good. I don't know, maybe only Imam Zaman come, they will say it's good. Being negative and surrounding yourself with negative people, it destroys one's willpower. Number two, time wastage destroys willpower. Sometimes you say, I'll become vulnerable in front of sins. You fall. You're wasting time, Habibi. You're spending hours doing nothing productive. Anyone who wastes a lot of time will have a weak willpower. These are teachings of Islam and Ahlul Bayt and psychology. Number three, factor destroying willpower. Kathratu tashkik, a lot of doubts. But sometimes this doubt may be caused as a result of mental health, as we mentioned. So that weakens your willpower. You become very weak, become vulnerable. And anger destroys willpower. That's why you are always recommended if you are really somebody. Some people are narcissistic. Excuse my word. They've got narcissistic behavior. Wallahi, we have them some. They become wild when they are angry. That's why even when you drive, you make mistake, you are assigned to go for anger management. Yeah. Because anger can destroy you and destroys your willpower. Sometimes your friend's cycle can destroy your willpower. And what is willpower? Discipline. Discipline. You have to be disciplined. So the first long-term solution to this is what? In addition to visiting an expert in this field, is to build your resilience and willpower. Number 2 is to be aware of your circumstances. The challenge we have in our community is that people don't want to admit. Listen to me, I'm a mu'min. I'm a lover and follower of Ahlul Bayt. Corona will not affect me, for example. I'm a lover and follower of Ahlul Bayt. I'm Azadaran Qusay. No mental health. This is for crazy people. No, Habibi. Wallahi, no. Being sick is not out of sin. It's out of lifestyle. So we need to be aware of our circumstance. When you become aware, you are on your way towards lasting solution. And then the next practical tip when it comes to lasting solution is what? Tawakkul ala Allah. Go to the psychologist, go to the GP, but do not forget tawakkul on Allah. Fatawakkalu in kuntum mutawakkilin. Rely on Allah so long as you are someone who rely on Allah. But Baba, tawakkul is not to say I rely on Allah and you do nothing. Huh? We've got requirements of tawakkul in Islam. First requirement of tawakkul is dua. Are you able to raise up your hand alone and ask Allah to help you overcome your mental health issue? It's a factor, it's a requirement of tawakkul. Make dua. Second requirement of tawakkul is to go out there looking for help. Is to knock the door of the expert. It is a requirement of tawakkul. Third requirement of tawakkul, surprisingly, is sile rahim. This is a riwayah. I'm not saying from my pocket. This is from the riwayat of Ahlul Bayt. The Rasulullah mentioned, whoever strengthens family ties, Allah will increase his or her lifespan. And Allah will grant you sustenance. How many people please people out there, but in the family, they don't want to see people's eyes. They go out making big donations, but in their families, people are dying from hunger. Charity begins at home. Silatul Rahim is a factor and a requirement of tawakkul. Simple, it's simple. Another factor, a requirement of tawakkul is what? Sadaqah. Tadfa'ul bala. You going through this frustration. By the way, there is no one who doesn't have stress. Don't let somebody deceive you. No, I don't have stress. It means the person is living with malaika somewhere. Everybody, one way or the other, we've got stress. It's just the levels. Mara has the same philosophy. Marahilu tashkikiya bad. Is this light? This one is 60 watt, this one 70 watt, this one 100 watt. We all have our levels. And if there is one thing that can really cause damage in our communities if we don't take care, it's mental health. You don't see someone for 1 month in the mosque, find out. We don't find out. It leads to drug abuse. Frustrated, no support, no help started. So let's support one another. Factor of tawakkul is what? Sadaqah. Give charity. Prophet said, giving charity removes and takes away bala and fitna. The last few lines of my examination. is in going forward throughout our lives. Whether you are currently faced with issue or not. No. The first one is what? It's from Imam Ali. Imam Ali says, build your tomorrow by looking at your today. So the example I found when I was preparing for this Majalis is coronavirus. It took us by surprise. Health, we were not taking care of. Eating oily food in our mosques. Why can't you reduce the oil? No, this is mass production. Baba, this is the house of Allah. Healthy mind, healthy soul. Wallahi, let's take care of our health. Sometimes we don't bother much, but it's important. We saw people 1 month like bananas, excuse my word, in hospital. So Imam Ali says, build your tomorrow from today. We've learned from COVID-19, if we do not take care of our health, things will not be easy. And I spoke about finance last night. It took us by surprise. We were shopping and shopping, out in holidays, Corona came, depending on fellow scheme and how much we were getting. I hope we have all learned in going forward. These are practical lessons we are sharing on this member of our team. And the second way, and the general, is patience. Simple, but it's not simple. Ahlul Bayt became Ahlul Bayt because of their patience. So sabr, when you hear sabr, oh, Baba, it's easy going, it's a glass of water. No. Allah says we made them leaders to guide through our command when they became patient, isn't it? What is patience? Is to look at things holistically. Look at life holistically, especially, my dear youth. Challenges will still come. A lot are coming. But when we say look at life holistically, simply means what? You are ready for it. Abu Abdullah alayhi salam, we mentioned last week Friday, he prepared them psychologically in advance for the tragedy of Karbala. They had their own stress, but Abu Abdullah, by psychologically preparing them, mitigated the frustration and the stress. So look at life holistically. Today might be good, tomorrow might be terrible. Look at it that way. And last but not least, let us all be proactive. Be proactive. Tafa'alu bil khairi tajidu. Be proactive in doing good. Be proactive when it comes to taking care of your health. Especially youth, you are the future of our community. You are going to take this community to the next level. You are going to take, wallahi, without health, forget it. You may be the most educated, the most eloquent. Without health, forget it. So the takeaway from tonight is what? There are frustrations in life. There are worries in life. There are pains and headaches in life, whether we like it or not. But at the same time, you can mitigate them. Islam, an expert. Even if the expert is not Muslim, go to them and find help. Lastly, we must help each other. You don't see someone, call. You saw how just a phone call of 1 minute was valuable during the lockdown. 1 minute. Kem chutama. Badu baraba. Alhamdulillah. Tike sab tike baraba. Habari gani? Kila kitu sawa? Anashukuru Mungu. Mungu kubariki. People felt good. Just 1 minute, wallah. Because resident alim, sometimes resident alim, Allah Akbar, miskin. President Ali, okay, okay, just check it on you. Oh, mashallah, Maulana, may God bless. Like call center. But that 1 minute phone call meant a lot. Let us support each other. Let us help each other. Let us make sure we take care of our health. And when you play your part, Allah will not leave you. And Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam indeed prepared his companions and he showed them the way. And tonight is a great night, which is dedicated to the first of Banu Hashim, who went to the fold and attained martyrdom. It is the night of Ali Akbar alayhi salam. Let us, mu'mineen and mu'minat, take our hearts to the holy land of Karbala and imagine that moment when Ali Akbar alayhi salam approached his beloved father for permission. Narration mentioned the first of Banu Hashim to be killed. Very difficult for Abu Abdullah and Layla and Sayyida Zainab alayhim as-salam. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn mentioned Ali Akbar alayhi salam resembled Rasulullah in his look and his intellect. Hence, when he went out to defend, the enemies were asking, is he Ali Akbar or Rasulullah? Narration mentioned, he woke up in the morning, Ali Akbar, and recited the last adhan, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The camp of Abu Abdullah, upon hearing the voice of Ali Akbar, they all began to cry because they knew that was the last azan they would hear from the mouth of Barakah of Ali Akbar alayhi salam. But you know, before we enter into the soul of this Masa'ib, one Marja narrates, he said, I saw Abu Abdullah in my dream. When I saw him, I saw a lot of arrows around the body of Abu Abdullah. But the next day, I dreamt him again. When I saw Abu Abdullah, only 2 arrows on the body of Abu Abdullah. So I asked my Mawla, last night when I saw you, you were in pool of arrows. But tonight, only 2 arrows are on your body. What's the reason, Ya Abu Abdullah? He said, the tears of my Shias wiped off and dissolved all the other arrows. But there are 2 pains that their tears cannot wipe off. The pain of the sword on the neck of Ali al-Asghar and the pain of the dagger on the chest of Ali al-Akbar. And that is why when Imam Zainul Abidin returned to the holy city of Karbala, when he went to join the head of Abu Abdullah with the body of Abu Abdullah, he heard a voice coming from the Zari Mubarak of Abu Abdullah. Place the infant on my chest and place Akbar by my feet. Because the chest of Abu Abdullah was the slaughtering zone of Ali al-Asghar. Now Ali al-Akbar recited the adhan. They all began to cry. Moment came and Ali began to walk towards his beloved father. You know, for every single companion who went to Abu Abdullah, Imam hesitated to grant permission. But when Ali went to Abu Abdullah did not hesitate to grant permission. He granted him permission and he said to him, Ali, before you go to Khaymaga. Ali went to Khaymaga. According to one version, his beloved mom Layla was there. Sayyida Zainab was there. And he bidded farewell. They all began to cry. Ali came out and he began to head towards the battlefield. But Abu Abdullah would walk slowly behind Ali. All of a sudden, Ali realized Abu Abdullah was walking behind him. Ali stopped and said, Father, haven't you granted permission? He said, oh Allah, I've granted you permission, but may Allah never show you a moment where you bid the final farewell with your son. Ali, may Allah never show you a moment where you know when your son goes, he will not come back. Abu Abdullah bidded farewell and he granted permission. Ali then went to the battlefield. We are told in the narration, Ali played his part, but his mother Layla had no energy to remain in Khaymaga. She came out. And when she came out again, she had no energy to look at the battlefield. What would she look at? She would monitor the complexion of the face of Abu Abdullah. All of a sudden, she saw the complexion of the Abu Abdullah was changing. She called out, oh, Hussein, Ya Abu Abdullah, is my Ali alive or dead? Abu Abdullah said, Layla, go sit somewhere and make dua. Allah promised to answer the dua of mom for her son. That was the moment she made the famous dua while Ali was in the battlefield. Ya Allah, you were the one who returned Yusuf back to Yaqub. Return my Ali back to me. She said, Ya Allah, you were the one who returned Ismail back to his mother. Return my Ali back to me. Narration said before she could finish the dua, Ali came back. But when Ali came back, he was calling, Al-Atsh, Al-Atsh, Al-Atsh. First. We are told in the narration, Abu Abdullah hugged Ali. When he hugged Ali, he tried his level best to quench the thirst of Ali. But you know how he quenched the thirst of Ali? Abu Abdullah placed his tongue into the mouth of Ali, so Ali could get some wetness. But Ali looked at his beloved father, Abu Abdullah. He said, Father, your mouth is drier than my mouth. Allahu Akbar. That was the moment Abu Abdullah said to Ali, oh my Ali, go back to the battlefield. You will soon meet Rasulullah and he will quench your thirst. Ali went to the battlefield, but you know how they finish off Ali, isn't it? We all know what is a dagger. The enemy lifted dagger and he severely dagged on the chest of Ali. As he was dagging, Ali called out, Assalamu alayka ya Abad. Salutation unto you, O my beloved father. You know, for every companion who called, Abu Abdullah will rush to the body. But when Ali called, he walked slowly to the body. But you know, as he was walking, Bibi Sukaina saw the father. She called out, Father, where are you going? He said to her, Sukaina Jan, I'm going to the body of Ali. Sukaina said, Father, you are heading towards a wrong direction. Ali is there and you are going this way. You know what he said to Sukaina? He said, oh Sukaina, it kills me to know Ali is going. But Abu Abdullah slowly walked towards the body of Ali. He was used to Ali coming and hugging him with two arms. But he realized from far, only one hand was up. When Abu Abdullah got to the body of Ali, he realized that Ali was covering dagger with the left hand. How painful was it for Abu Abdullah to remove that dagger from the chest of Ali? Abu Abdullah removed the dagger. That's when he stood and faced Najaf al-Ashr. Said, Assalamu alayka ya abati ya Amir al-Mu'minin. Salutations unto you, O my beloved father, Amir al-Mu'minin. You lifted the door of Khaybar with your hand. Come and see your son lifting dagger from the chest of his son. Scholars mention that final moment of the life of Ali. Ali would smile and Ali would cry. Ali would smile and Ali would cry. Abu Abdullah asked, Ya Ali, why smiling and crying at the same time? Barakah of Rasulullah and Fatima al-Zahra. But I'm smiling because I see Rasulullah. Why are you crying, Ya Ali? That I'm crying because Fatima al-Zahra is slapping on her cheek. لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Mu'minin and mu'minat, before Ma'atam, let us all raise up our hands. Let's make dua. اللهم إنا نسألك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم وبأسمائك الحسنى. يا الله 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 يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا الله, here we are, your slaves and your servants. We seek your intervention. Allah, intervene on our behalf in all our affairs of life, inshallah. We do have mu'minin and mu'minat who are not well in our communities across the globe. Some are really struggling. Some are suffering. We receive calls every single day, now and then. Check, make dua on the member. All those who are sick, Ya Allah, we pray that you cure them with your cure, inshallah. Mu'minin and mu'minat who are no more in this world, we pray that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala grant them Jannat al-Firdaus. All of us sitting here, we have our haja. There is none without haja. We pray بحق Ali Akbar alayhi salam that Allah fulfill our legitimate desires, inshallah. Ma'tam al-Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
कहती थी ये माँ खून भरी मैयत से लिपट कर, हाय हाय अली अकबर, हाय हाय अली अकबर, अरमान था पहनाऊंगी पोशाक शाहानी, अफसोस के रास आई न तुझको ये जवानी, कैसा था मुक़द्दर, हाय हाय अली अकबर, पहले तो एक आवाज पे उठ जाते थे बेटा, अब इतनी सदाओं पे بھی پہلو نہیں بدلا، کیا ہو گیا دل پر، ارے تم ہچ کیا لے کے جو دم توڑ رہے ہو، منہ سے ہمیشہ کے لیے موڑ رہے ہو، کیوں روٹھے ہو دل پر، ہے علی اکبر 18 برس پال کے پروان چڑھایا، ارے وہ گیسوں والا ہے میرا خون میں نہایا، اب کیا کروں جی کر، جب کوئی جوان لاش نظر آتی ہے محشر، ایک یاد سوئے کرب و بلا جاتی ہے محشر، دل روتا ہے کہہ کر، ہے علی اکبر، ہے علی اکبر، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، حسین یا حسین یا حسین، ہے جوان اکبر جوان، ہے جوان اکبر جوان، ہے جوان اکبر جوان، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، مل کے یا حسین 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 یا حسین، حیا علی خیر العمل، حیا علی خیر العمل، حیا علی خیر العمل، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، form your circles brothers, come forward mashallah، یا حسین 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 یا حسین، ارمان تھا یہ ماں کا، ارمان تھا یہ ماں کا، میں صحرا سجاؤں گی، اے میرے جوان اکبر، 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 مل کے پڑھیں، اے میرے جوان اکبر، اے میرے جوان اکبر، اے میرے جوان اکبر، ہے اے میرے جوان اکبر، اے میرے جوان اکبر، اے میرے جوان اکبر، اے میرے جوان اکبر. جب گھر سے چلے تھے تم صغرا سے کیا وعدہ, بیمار میری بہنا میں لوٹ کے آؤں گا. کس طرح خبر جا کر, کس طرح خبر جا کر صغرا کو سناؤں گی. اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, مل کے پڑھیں. اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, ہے اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر. بیٹے کے جنازے کو کب باپ اٹھاتا ہے, کتنا ہی بہادر ہو وہ جی نہیں سکتا ہے. لیکن تیرے بابا کی, لیکن تیرے بابا کی ہمت میں بڑھاؤں گی. اے میرے جوان اکبر, 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 ہے بلند آواز میں ماشاء اللہ اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر. جاتے ہو چلے جاؤ میں روک نہیں سکتی, ایک وعدہ کرو لیکن اور کھاؤ قسم میری, تم لوٹ کے آؤ گے, تم لوٹ کے آؤ گے جس وقت بلاؤں گی. اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, ہے اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر. لائے ہے تیرا لاشا خیمے میں تیرے بابا, ارمان ہزاروں تھے سب خاک ہوئے بیٹا. میں اپنی تمنا کی, میں اپنی تمنا کی خود قبر بناؤں گی. اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, ہے اے میرے جوان, ماشاء اللہ جیو ماتمی, اے میرے جوان اکبر. بیٹے کے جنازے کو کب باپ اٹھاتا ہے, کتنا ہی بہادر ہو وہ جی نہیں سکتا ہے. لیکن تیرے بابا کی, لیکن تیرے بابا کی ہمت میں بڑھاؤں گی. اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, اے میرے جوان اکبر, ہے زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے, زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے, تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر, اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر, اکبر سب مل کے نام مولا ماشاءاللہ. اکبر اکبر ہے لاش اکبر پہ شاہ جب پہنچے دل کو ہاتھوں سے تھام کر بولے تیری فرقت نے اے علی اکبر آگ دل میں میرے لگا دی ہے. آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے, آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے, ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر ہے میرا سحر والا اکبر میرا سحر والا. تو ہے کڑیل جوان اے بیٹا باپ تیرا ضعیف ہے کتنا, نور آنکھوں کا ہو گیا رخسار مجھ کو آتا نہیں نظر خیمہ لے کے خیموں میں جاؤں میں کیسے, لے کے خیموں میں جاؤں میں کیسے, ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر. زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے, زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے, تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا. جس نے 18 سال پالا تھا کیسے دیکھے گی وہ تیرا لاشا, تیری شادی کا تھا جسے ارماں کیسے جھیلے گی وہ تیرا صدمہ, تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے, تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے, ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر ماشاءاللہ سب مل کے پڑھے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر سحر والا. بھائی بہنوں کا ہے عجب رشتہ جس کا ثانی کہیں نہیں ملتا, رو کے صغرا نے یہ لکھا اکبر ایک دکھیا کی لاج رکھ لینا, مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے, مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے, ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر ہے میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا. ایسی غربت میں منہ نہیں موڑو, میں ہوں تنہا مجھے نہ یوں چھوڑو, کیا گزرتی ہے باپ کے دل پر, غم زدہ دل کو یوں نہیں توڑو, अपनी गुर्बत बताऊं मैं कैसे, अपनी गुर्बत बताऊं मैं कैसे, है तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे। अकबर मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, अकबर है मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, अकबर है मेरा सहर वाला अकबर। जब कहा तूने बाबा दरकनी, तब से एक पल ना चैन पाया हूँ, तेरे लाशे तलक अली अकबर चल के घुटनों के बल में आया हूँ। बेटा खुद को उठाऊं मैं कैसे, बेटा खुद को उठाऊं मैं कैसे, है तेरा लाशा उठाऊं मैं कैसे। अकबर मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, अकबर है मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, अकबर मेरा सहर वाला अकबर, मेरा सहर वाला। I long for Bainul Haramain, my heart is with Abbas and Hussein. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, 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 Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala. My journey from his start, between the moon and the stars, tears that I cry on my cheeks, crying for your dome it seeks. My master, come see these tears, come and save me from my fears. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, 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 Allahumma. Where are your voices? With the loudest of voices. Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, 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 Allahumma arzuqna. MashaAllah. Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala. I hear Zainab crying out, oh Zuwar, I am alone, no Abbas and no Hussein. Visitors, you ease my pain, march on towards Karbala. I'll also visit from Sham. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Zukna Karbala, 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 Allahumma arzuqna. Make your voices heard in Bainul Haramain. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Bala. As I walk, this mother cries, in Karbala my son lies. Oh lovers, I am Zahra, I'll also come from afar. My tears will flow from Bakri to Furat, oh can't you see? Karbala, Karbala, اللهم ارزقنا كربلا كربلا اللهم ارزقنا كربلا 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 اللهم ارزقنا بلا كربلا اللهم ارزقنا كربلا. From Baqi another wells severed his arms on that day. I raised my son for Ashura. He was the prayer of Zahra. My name is Ummul Baneen. My name is Ummul Baneen. My love no limit has seen. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, 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 Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, mashallah, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala. Love and tears are my fuel, marching with them towards you, but a drop in the million sea. Oh Hussein, acknowledge me. I've walked on Karbala's floor. I've walked on Karbala's floor to throw myself at your door. Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, Karbala, Allahumma arzuqna Karbala, 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 Allahumma arzuqna Karbala. Wa wela hai wa wela, 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 wa wela hai wa wela. سب مل کے کرو اب اہل عزا. وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا. اسلام نبی کا بچایا ہے, تکبیر کا دیپ جلایا ہے, تکبیر کا دیپ جلایا ہے. قرآن کا مان بڑھایا ہے, توحید پہ گھر کو لٹایا ہے. شبیر کا ماتم وا ویلا, دلگیر کا ماتم وا ویلا, یہ اہل عزا کا ہے نوحہ. وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا. مل کے پڑھے, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا. ہم شکل پیغمبر مارا گیا, 6 ماہ کا اصغر مارا گیا, 6 ماہ کا اصغر مارا گیا. عباس دلاور مارا گیا, شبیر کا دل بر مارا گیا. اکبر کا ماتم وا ویلا, اصغر کا ماتم وا ویلا. زینب کے لبوں پر تھی یہ صدا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, وا ویلا ہے وا ویلا, واہ ویلا ہے واہ ویلا سب مل کے کرو اب اہل عزا واہ
ویلا ہے
واہ ویلا واہ ویلا ہے واہ ویلا واہ
ویلا ہے
واہ ویلا کیسے ہو رقم احوال جفا آدان ستم کچھ ایسا کیا آدان ستم کچھ ایسا کیا قاسم کا جسد پامال ہوا بے حال ہوئی ام فروا قاسم کا ماتم واہ ویلا بے کس کا ماتم واہ ویلا قاسم کا غم ہے اور کبرا واہ ویلا ہے واہ ویلا 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 یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
صوت من كربلاء قد نادى للفداء مع مهدينا في الشام لا تسبى والعراق يأبى إلا بحزب الله أن يحمينا.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے کوئی مانے یا نہ مانے ہے یہ ایمان میرا نام عباس تو بخشش کا ہے سامان میرا چشمہ فیض ہے چشمہ فیض ہے یہ در ہر ایک گدا کے لیے مل کے پڑھیں نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر باوفا آپ کو بیمار مدینہ کی قسم وہ جو بیمار ہے کر ان پہ ذرا نظر کرم تیرے پرچم کی ہوا چاہیے شفا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولى وابن مولى، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك حجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.